All right, Viewer, it's an all-out war between the opposition and the Election Commission. The playground is the state of Bihar. The bone of contention this time, the face-off between the Election Commission and the opposition, is the SIR, the Special Intensive Role Revision exercise by the EC in the state of Bihar. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi has made a sensational claim against EC. Opposition leaders also protested outside the parliament earlier today. Rahul Gandhi accused the Election Commission of vote theft, stealing votes, and that evidence in the form of an atom bomb was going to explode soon. Rahul also said that EC was stealing votes on behest of BJP and that his earlier claims related to voter list manipulation in Maharashtra and other places were true. He also said that he will very soon come out with a bare all. EC, meanwhile, has hit back against allegations and said that they are baseless and asked the officials to not pay heed to such irresponsible statements. Kiran Rijiju said that a discussion on SIR was not possible in Parliament. Meanwhile, the India bloc held a protest outside the Parliament today. Opposition leaders held placards raising slogans demanding suspension of SIR. Opposition leaders also wrote on the Lok Sabha chair demanding a discussion on SIR in a session amidst ruckus and adjournments. All of this, viewers, view this in the backdrop of the first voter list being now published, where Bihar is concerned.
वोट चोरी हो रही है और अब हमारे पास ओपन एंड शट प्रूफ है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन वोट चोरी में इन्वॉल्व है और मैं लाइटली नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मैं 100% प्रूफ के साथ बोल रहा हूं, ठीक है। और आप सबको पता लग जाएगा जैसे ही हमने ये रिलीज किया, पूरे देश को पता लग जाएगा कि इलेक्शन कमीशन वोटर चोरी करा रहा है। किसके लिए करा रहा है? किसके लिए करा रहा है? बीजेपी के लिए करा रहा है। ओपन एंड शट है, नो क्वेश्चन। हमें मध्य प्रदेश में सस्पिशन था, लोकसभा में सस्पिशन था, महाराष्ट्र में वो थोड़ा आगे गया, स्टेट लेवल पे हमें लगा कि यहां पे चोरी हुई है। वोटर एडिशन हुआ था, 1 करोड़ वोटर्स ऐड हुए थे। फिर हम थोड़ा डिटेल में गए, हमने कहा देखो अब इलेक्शन कमीशन तो मदद नहीं कर रहा है, तो थोड़ी ग्रैन्युलैरिटी में जाना है, गहराई में जाना है। तो हमने अपना ही इन्वेस्टिगेशन करवाया, उसमें 6 महीने लगे और जो हमें मिला है वो एटम बॉम्ब है। मतलब एटम बॉम्ब है, फटेगा तो आप इलेक्शन कमीशन आपको दिखेगा नहीं हिंदुस्तान में। थैंक यू। अच्छा, एक और बात जो सबसे जरूरी बात है, और मैं ये बड़ी सीरियसली बोल रहा हूं, जो भी ये काम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, इलेक्शन कमीशन में जो भी ये काम कर रहे हैं, राइट फ्रॉम द टॉप टू द बॉटम, आप एक बात याद रखिए, आपको हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं। कुछ भी हो जाए हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं आपको, क्योंकि आप हिंदुस्तान के खिलाफ काम कर रहे हो। ये ट्रीजन है और कम, इससे कम नहीं है। तो आप याद रखिए, आप कहीं भी हो, रिटायर्ड हो, कुछ भी हो, ठीक है, हम आपको ढूंढ के निकालेंगे।
पहले दिन से ऑपोजिशन पार्टी ने हंगामा करने का काम शुरू किया। फिर ऑपोजिशन पार्टी के डिमांड पर सरकार ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर चर्चा जितना टाइम मांगा उतना समय हमने दिया। पार्लियामेंट शुरू होते ही वेल में आ जाते हैं, तो किसी का बात सुनते भी नहीं है। फिर एलिगेशन देते हैं कि बोलने नहीं देते हैं। आप अपोजिशन पार्टी खुद पार्लियामेंट चलने नहीं देते हैं और फिर बोलता है कि बोलने नहीं देते हैं। ये बहुत गलत मैसेज बाहर में जाने का संभावना है।
Another day, but same story. Once again, the entire India bloc is protesting right outside the Makar Dwar in Parliament. Right behind me, you can see the visuals of opposition, which is right now protesting, and they're holding different placards which reads "Stop Vote Loot." Also, there is another poster which reads "SIR Loktantra par War." But what is more interesting here is that the opposition MPs are holding another placard which has the cartoon photo of Election Commissioner of India, Ganesh Kumar, and also PM Narendra Modi. You can see as to how it is mentioned, yes sir, and then do sir on that particular placard. And these placards have now surfaced, and this has now become a unique way of protest by the opposition MPs. India Bloc has been protesting on the issue of SIR since the beginning of the monsoon session, and they have been demanding government to withdraw SIR, and again they are raising the slogans against Modi government. Remember that as far as this entire issue is concerned, the sources in government have made it very clear that SIR is an issue which pertains to the working of Election Commission of India, and there cannot be any discussion on that. But still, the opposition continues to mount pressure on the government to have a discussion on this, not only inside but also outside the parliament. Piyush Mishra in Delhi for India Today.
All right, viewers, there's one thing that you need to remember. What you see on your television screen, all of this is happening outside the parliament. So the EC opposition face-off playing outside parliament. But one second, let me remind you, the real playground lies all the way in Bihar, where the special intensive role revision has taken place. And the latest on that is that the Election Commission of India, after the intensive role revision, has now published the first voter list draft. That is out and it's published, it's been uploaded. Now it's released the Bihar voter list and what we have been given to believe is 65 lakh names are likely removed from this voter list. That's the initial estimate, to which of course the EC says many of them are dead, some of them have migrated, some of them are missing. But in all, 65 lakh have been possibly removed in the first draft. Mind you, it's just the first draft. Voters can check, submit Form 6 and object for referral until the 1st of September. So there's one full month of doing so. But I want to take all the questions swirling around the special intensive role revision to our panelists this evening. Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson, BJP is with us. Professor Suraj Mandal, Spokesperson, Congress. Amitabh Tiwari, Political Commentator. Ashutosh, Political Analyst. In the studio with me, Karan Verma, Political Analyst. I'd like to begin with Professor Suraj Mandal because, Professor Mandal, you know, the theatre or the amphitheater of this entire face-off with the EC is Bihar. But with what Rahul Gandhi said today, that what you have, your party has now investigated in the last 6 months is ammunition which can be comparable to an atom bomb. When is the Congress going to detonate this atom bomb? When will we know the information that you've discovered?
I think first we should know what has really happened. In January 2025, a summary revision of the electoral roll was done. And this was out before the people to see their names or if they have to protest. Now, suddenly in June, the Election Commission comes out with the fact that they have to do summary intensive revision. Now, this word intensive was added to almost do away with all the previous voter list and to begin making a new voter list with such rules as everybody would have to fill up the form. Now, Bihar is a state where many people go for earning outside. All these factors are there. But the most grievous, worry was that either of these two electoral rolls has to be okay. Now, they have come up, the Election Commission and even the BJP, almost synchronizing with what the Election Commission had to say. They were saying lakhs of people are there as infiltrators, like that. Now, first of all, if the earlier electoral roll was okay and fine, then this electoral roll is a fake one. And if this is fine, then the earlier electoral roll, on which basis Mr. Narendra Modi is in power, on which basis Mr. Nitish Kumar is in power in Bihar, is a fake one. There are lots of infiltrators over there, and suddenly you say that so many people, now today's SIR list, which the draft voter list has come, lakhs of people are missing there. Now, it has nothing to do with people who have filed their papers and who have not filed. We have seen how senior journalists, Ajit Anjum, almost every day put up a video and showing what all was happening in the ground. And
Professor Mondal, your time is up. You know, you're new to the show. I'll just tell you the format: 2 minutes to each spokesperson. You've named you've named a journalist, but let me also tell you, we've had our own journalists on ground who have raised apprehensions on the voter list. And it cuts both ways. But I want to bring in Sanju Verma into this conversation. Sanju Verma, your 2 minutes begin right now, because the first draft of the Bihar voter list has been published. Of course, redressal is on till the 1st of September. The larger question, Sanju Verma, prima facie, over 65 lakh names are missing. Most of them, understandably, coming from Himachal.
You know, Preeti, let me make one thing very clear for the benefit of your audience. Bihar is a large state with 45,103 villages. It is divided into 9 divisions, 38 districts, 101 subdivisions, and for administrative purposes, there are 12 municipal corporations, 88 Nagar Parishads, and 154 Nagar Panchayats. You know, I would like to tell Rahul Gandhi through your show, hats off to the 1.5 lakh BLAs, hats off to the 1 lakh BLOs, hats off to the 4 lakh volunteers, hats off to the Election Commission and its 243 officers who went to almost every village, went to more than 5,600 polling booths, spread across more than 90,000 polling stations, spread across more than 261 urban local bodies. Such a mammoth, such a gigantic, such a gargantuan exercise completed in flat 2 months by the Election Commission and its staff. So Rahul Gandhi, आप जो कहते हैं Election Commission वोटों की चोरी कर रही है, सबूत दिखाइए. राहुल गांधी says हमारे पास एक बहुत बड़ा बम है. जब ये बम फूटेगा तो Election Commission हिंदुस्तान में दिखेगा नहीं. So through your channel, I want to say stop demonizing our institutions. Election Commission is conducting the SIR exercise while the powers bestowed on it under the Constitution's Article 324, 325, 326. SIR is completely valid as per Representation of Peoples Act 1950-51. SIR is completely valid as per Registration of Electoral Rules 1960. But most importantly, it is this. आपको यदि इलेक्शन कमीशन पर भरोसा नहीं है, राहुल गांधी, फर्स्ट रिजाइन फ्रॉम योर रायबरेली सीट. प्रियंका वाड्रा, resign from your Wayanad seat. Will Manish Tiwari resign from Chandigarh? Will Gaurav
Time is up. Your faders want to automatically go down. I'm going to quickly bring in Amitabh Tiwari before we go to our political analyst. Amitabh Tiwari, in totality, this is now clearly coming to a head. If the opposition is threatening of an atom bomb, they need to tell us the time of detonation. Number one. Number two, juxtapose all of this in the backdrop of the first draft being published today of the voter list in Bihar.
No, essentially this entire thing we have to see in the background of a complete breakdown of communication and a trust deficit between the opposition and the government, and also the lack of trust which the opposition parties are now constantly showing with the Election Commission of India. Now 8.2% almost names have been deleted. Now this is a big number, it's not a small number in any case. However, if we see the breakdown, almost 22 lakh people are presumed to be dead and 36 lakh have permanently shifted or are untraceable. So this 58 lakh people almost either were on, they could not have just died or vanished in the past, let's say 6 months or after the Lok Sabha elections. This number is huge. So either they were by mistake on the list. So we need to first understand whether this 58 lakh people voted in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections or not, because that would give us whether there was or what was the extent of,
or the fact that they were on the rolls in January this year, Amitabh ji.
Yeah. So let's say in the past 6 months, as you are mentioning, it can be an error also, because in India, when a person dies, the death certificate is issued, but the municipal corporation, there is no communication between the various government departments. So the municipal corporation does not send the list of people who died to the Election Commission of India. Correct? So there can be an error. If it's an error, it's a huge error because it's a significant chunk of people, 58 lakhs. The number which everybody was waiting for and is not there in the list is how many illegal immigrants or non-citizens or ineligible citizens were found in this exercise. It seems it is none. Correct. So now we'll have to wait and see, and the opposition parties will now have to identify these people to make their charges valid.
Amitabh ji, will come back to you. Ashutosh, I want to bring you in because let's look at Bihar and then we'll come down to the opposition in Delhi, because now 8.2% of voters who are missing from the first draft of the voter list. As per our ground reports and estimation, that comes to about 64 lakh voters. That's a huge lot in an election where, if you just go by the last election in Bihar, where seats were lost, if not by just 1,000, even hundreds.
See, Preeti, I think this is what Amitabh has said. I completely agree with him. In my more than 3 decades old journalism career, I had never seen this kind of total breakdown between the government and the opposition. I had never seen something like this. This is extraordinary, this is exceptional, and this is dangerous for the democracy. Secondly, I had also not seen this kind of bitterness between the Election Commission and the opposition. That shows election is not only about government and the Election Commission. Election is also not about Election Commission and the opposition. Election is all about Election Commission, opposition, and the government. And if opposition has total distrust in the whole process, then what will happen to the democracy? What will happen to the legitimacy of the election? That's a big question, and I think that needs to be sorted out if we want to save democracy in this country. Otherwise, there will be opposition, विपक्ष मुक्त भारत बन जाएगा फिर वो, और ये आज की सरकार है, कल किसी और की सरकार आएगी, ये प्रॉब्लम वहां पे रहेगी. दूसरी बात, जो ये द नंबर 65 लाख लोगों का जो एलिमिनेशन है, huge number. Now it will be interesting to know that this number has come across all caste, all religion, all kinds of people, from middle class to the upper class to the lower class, to all from the Dalits to the upper caste. And this, because why I'm saying so, because in this country the poorest of them all belongs to the Dalits and to the other backward class, the EBCs, and they are the most disadvantaged. They are the most least privileged section of the society. They do not have all kinds of facilities to get their certificates made and got it done. That's why it will be very interesting and intriguing to know from which section of the society these numbers have been deleted or found in did not find place in the election.
Karan, once again, we'll come back to what happened in Delhi, where you have the opposition. Reflect for once on what's happening in the state of Bihar. The first draft is out of the voter list. Just with what we are getting to know right now, it's only been published post 3 p.m. this evening. We are still skimming through the data, and it does seem over 64 lakhs. Close to 65 is what we are picking up in terms of voters have been deleted from this list. The break-up of who has been deleted from where isn't coming through. Ground reports seem to tell us that most of it comes in from Simachal, which many thought was expected, especially by the opposition.
So, Preeti, I don't think we should be surprised that it's come from Simachal, where we saw an Aadhaar saturation of more than 100%, 127%.
Where are you getting that number from?
That's been the number out, right, from day one.
Who has reported it? Where is that? Because I'm sorry, I'm coming in. I'll stop the clock. Okay. Because I'll tell you why I'm saying this, Karan, because it's important to disseminate this information right away. If we haven't had a census from 2011, where are we getting Aadhaar saturation figures from of 100% in Simachal? Just journalistic inquisition. Where are we getting these numbers from? It can't be so easily extrapolated.
So, if we compare the voter rolls, the number of people on the voter rolls, and the Aadhaar dissemination in that district, it is 127% in certain areas. Like, I'm forgetting the name, maybe Araria and certain districts, it's more than 100%.
Araria,
that's how we're getting those numbers. You compare the list of the voters in the electoral roll and the Aadhaar disseminated by the UIDAI. So that's number one. Now, Preeti, we did not have such shows when 22 lakh voters were deleted in Telangana, did we? And who won, by the way, in Telangana? It was the Congress party that won after 22 lakh voter deletion. Who won in Karnataka, where we had close to 4.5 lakh voter deletion? It was again the opposition. It was the Congress party who won in West Bengal, by the way, in 2021. Again, we had a deletion of close to 5 lakh votes. This kind of logic and this kind of rhetoric, I must say, is so irresponsible coming from the leader of the opposition. Ashutosh ji is right. Election Commission should be about Election Commission, the party in power, but opposition. But what does the Election Commission do if they write a letter to Rahul Gandhi on 12th June and he doesn't reply? They send him a reminder, he again doesn't reply. And then he resorts to this language, ki bomb blast ho jayega. Main dekh lunga ek ko. Main chodunga nahi kisi ko. What sort of language is this? You don't have any proof to present. Sometimes you blame the EVM, you don't give anything in writing, you don't reply, you come up with the most outlandish claims where you've been rapped on the knuckles by different courts, by the way, different judges in the past. I can give you examples. Justice Hemant Prashar said, your remarks breach modesty and moral turpitude. When he said, Sare Modi chor hote hain. The Supreme Court gave him reprimanded him when he said, Chaukidar chor hai is coming from the Supreme Court. So this man was in Lucknow recently, where he said, Hamari sena pit ke aayi thi. And he had to apologize for that. You can't make these outlandish claims, not come up with a single shred of proof, and when the EC writes to you, you don't even respond. So what does one do if an opposition has taken this path of complete anarchy? In the constitutional setup, you have to engage. The onus is on you then.
All right, your time is up, Karun. I just want to put one thing, the fact is extrapolation as simple of Aadhaar and voter cards is a bit, or rather a far stretch, erroneous. But having said that, the same voters voted in 2024. Suddenly, we have reached a point of saturation. We'll reflect on all of this. I want to give all our spokespersons 1 minute each to reflect on what has happened in terms of the first draft of the voter list being uploaded. And then we'll move on to our political stock exchange, where we have data coming in, especially on the minority vote, because a lot has been said about the Muslim vote bank in the state of Bihar, which could be compromised, would be compromised, should be compromised, all of that being addressed in the next half hour where the political stock exchanges. But very quickly, 1 minute each to all our panelists. Let's begin with Professor Suraj Mandal. Professor Suraj Mandal, I just want to, before you give your remarks on that, should the leader of opposition have come out and practically not wailed, issued an open threat to the EC that we'll deal with you when the time comes? Go ahead, sir.
No, it has. What has happened in last 3 Vidhan Sabha elections? The voter list was not being given to the Congress party. They had to go to Supreme Court. One gentleman is saying about the proof. What more proof you want? We are not holding the elections. And what happened in Bangladesh? You are repeating exactly the same thing Election Commission is doing over here. And you make this image that it is a constitutional body. I'm sorry, it is not doing its work properly. It has given a statement saying that none of the statements of the opposition party should be at all taken into cognizance by the election officers. What is this? You are being a spokesman of BJP. So, and the situation has come. One gentleman said opposition Mukt Bharat. I think that was what Sheikh Hasina did in Bangladesh. And then opposition were forced to boycott the election. This may be the situation in Bihar also.
So your time is up. I'll come back to you now after we start giving out data. But 1 minute, Sanju Verma, your comments on the Bihar first draft voter list out. Ma'am, time begins now.
Preeti, let me make one thing very clear. In the last 11 years of the Modi government, 31,000 fake NGOs, 4.7 lakh fake companies, 6 crore fake ration cards, 4 crore fake LPG connections, 4.5 crore fake Manrega cards, 8.5 lakh fake midday meal beneficiaries, and 100,000 fake teachers were weeded out of the system. So, for anyone asking, do you really think that, there are duplicate voters? Please go and look at the data of last 11 years. We weeded out duplications across the board. The second point, what Karan said, we lost Bengal. 6.7 lakh voters had been deleted. क्या आपके शो पर आके बीजेपी के किसी नेता ने रोना धोना किया? As Karan said, 22 lakh voters were deleted in Telangana. We lost Telangana. Rahul Gandhi ने तो बहुत तालियां बजाई. Did Preeti Chaudhary ask Rahul Gandhi, why is it that you are clapping now despite voter deletion in Telangana? No. But questions.
Well, Madam Preeti Chaudhary had asked the Congress. I haven't had an audience with Rahul Gandhi yet, but I had definitely asked the Congress spokesperson who was here. But Amitabh ji, 1 minute begins now, sir. Final submissions.
It's also a situation wherein the goalpost is being shifted, I would say. We started from weeding out illegal citizens or voters. I don't think that number is still out. If there are such high number of voters who have died or have permanently shifted, then this should have been captured in a summary revision. It means that there are significant errors in our current voter list, and we need an SIR for just updating normal things like death and addition of voters. And this needs to be a countrywide exercise. Third is, it is not like Maharashtra, where a post-mortem analysis the opposition can do. The opposition has a chance here. If they feel that these voters exist and are in Bihar or have not or are alive, then they need to present these voters, because the numbers are 83 per booth, correct? And they have significant agents who can bring up these or expose.
Amitabh ji, you'll have to hold that thought. Ashutosh ji, 1 minute, please. Final concluding statements on the first draft of the voter list.
See, Preeti, I think either of the chief election commissioner and the election commissioner should be accountable. That if 64 lakhs were unwanted people who were excluded from the list, then during then the last revision which has taken place, who was the chief election commissioner and why this has happened? Is there any accountability of that election commission or not? That means something illegal was happening. Election commission was in no position to stop that, or it has been. Or secondly, these 65 lakh voters, if genuine voters got their numbers into the list, then who was the beneficiary? The opposition was the beneficiary, or the government was the beneficiary? And who, in whose favor these votes were polled? These are the two important questions which has to be answered. I can still give the benefit of doubt because still it's the draft list. The final list still has to come.
Well, I just want to put it out there. This is the first draft. There is redressal to the 1st of September. You can go onto the EC website, check your names or submit Form 6, and you have time till the 1st of September. Karan, 1 minute.
No, Ashutosh ji has asked a very valid question. Who actually is the beneficiary of this? If Revant Reddy were to be believed at that time in 2023, Asaduddin Owaisi's name came up in 2 electoral rolls. And he said the biggest beneficiary of this is always AIMIM. And 5 lakh voters were, by the way, deleted in Hyderabad. Asaduddin Owaisi still went on to win. So that is the Congress's stand. And by the way, on 15th November 2024, Ghulam Ahmad Mir, who is the Congress's Jharkhand in chief, made a statement that we will give gas cylinders even to the illegals. He went on to say even to the illegals. So who's pandering to the illegals? Who's trying to appease them? It's quite clear out in the open. I also agree with his point that there should be accountability. Of course, there should be accountability. There are illegals which need to be weeded out. But then who are those who go to the Supreme Court whenever there is a petition or anything to weed them out? Why do we have a stay on whether it's the Rohingyas or any of the infiltrators? I honestly believe, and I think the BJP is buckled under pressure as far as that is concerned. We need an NRC in this country.
All right, many say this is a backdoor NRC which is taking place. That is also a point of contention with the top court of the country. What I'm going to do right now is going to cut into data of political stock exchange, where we've done a sample test because viewers, there was so much, and this has been conducted, let me remind you, by C Voter, because there was so much talk, commentary, when it came down to the minority vote. There were apprehensions where the Muslim vote was also concerned, that many of them will lose or be disenfranchised where their voting rights are concerned, especially where it came down to the Seemanchal belt. What we've done, have conducted a quick snap poll. I'm going to quickly give out the first 3 questions, and in this we've divided our respondents in categories of Muslims, others, and then of course you'll have a total figure. I want to quickly go on to our first question that was posed by C Voter to the respondents. How important is Muslim vote in Bihar elections? Very important, 80.5%. Understandably, that answer was by Muslim respondents. Others say 44%, nearly 50% of the respondents who are part of the Bihar electorate seem to suggest that the Muslim vote is key. Therefore, if you infer from that, if you cut that vote, that could very well be problematic to certain vote banks and parties. Will Waqf bill impact your voting decision? This was also a question that was posed. The answer to that, Muslims 68.1% responded yes it will, 42.9% said of the others said yes, it will total 47.4%. So about 47.4%, which is close to the 50% mark, feel that their voting choice in the election in Bihar will be impacted by the Waqf bill. How important is caste identity in your voting decision? Very important. Muslims 46.2%, others 37%. Interesting, in a state like Bihar, only 38.7% have told us that caste identity, in fact, is key when it comes down to voting patterns, because usually what we've seen is contrary empirical evidence on ground, where usually that election in Bihar are dominated by caste. But this figure is contrary to that. Then, opinion on BJP's outreach efforts to Muslim voters. Has the BJP been able to reach out to the Muslim vote? Muslims only feel 16.2% of the respondents feel in the Muslim respondents who we spoke to that yes, the BJP has reached out. 25.4% say no. Others say that they have reached out. Overall, 23.8%. That's it. Of the total respondents in Bihar that were asked this question feel that the BJP has done a good job in reaching out to the minority vote bank. Most actually feel it's symbolism. Look at the third line from there, where 50.8% of Muslims feel it's symbolism, and about 37% of others also feel it's purely symbolic. That means it's an eyewash. I want to quickly cut across immediately to our panelists this evening, and I'd like to begin this time with Amitabh Tiwari. Amitabh Tiwari, you'll get a 2-minute time. Interesting, keeping in mind all the caste calculations, permutations, the importance of the Muslim vote, the percentage of the Muslim votes. What do these numbers speak to you?
So see, obviously the Muslim vote is important, and that's what the survey shows, because around 17 to 18% of the population is Muslim population. However, if you look at the 32 seats where they are a dominant force in 2020, the NDA won 18 of them, the Mahagathbandhan 8, and 5 went to the AIMIM. So polarization plays a big role wherever the Muslim population is high. Even if you see the districts or the administrative zones where the Muslim population is high, starting from Purnia, the Mahagathbandhan lost to NDA. The second part is that Waqf will play a role, but I think Waqf, only less than 50% people are agreeing to the fact that Waqf is going to play a big role. I don't think it's going to be a very big matter. On the basis of caste, I think you said almost 30% said very important, I think 30, but if you add, or rather 39% said very important, but if you add somewhat important also, you get a number of 60%. And in 2018, when the Aziz Premji University did a survey, almost 57% people in Bihar said that they prefer the leader of their own caste group. So caste plays a very, very important role. The other side to look at it is that 47% people, or rather here in your survey also almost 40% people say that they would be voting on different lines, which could be development issues, etc., which is an encouraging factor in that way. With regard to the Muslim outreach of the BJP, however, I think despite efforts being made by the BJP and despite their claims that almost 30 to 35% of beneficiaries of central government schemes as well as state government schemes belong to the Muslim community, only 35% of the people say that the efforts of the BJP are sincere or somewhat sincere. Still around.
Well, you're right there, Amitabhji. If you actually, where you talk about, will you vote on caste, somewhat important, 21%, and if you club it all together, it falls about 55 to 60% in between is what Bihar thinks. But interesting numbers there. Sanju Verma, no matter what you try, no matter how many Muslim outreach programs the BJP embarks on, forget about the Muslims, at least in Bihar, even others are not buying it.
Preeti, now I hope you will not interrupt me. You have a thick skin as a journalist and you always ask me tough questions. But there's a video of yours which has gone viral. And I'm so glad about it. And I was just looking at it. You were saying prior to the Maharashtra elections, I could not find a single BJP supporting voice in Marathwada. And the BJP won 4-0, 40 seats from Marathwada in the Maharashtra assembly elections. The dot alliance, as in Mahavinash Aghadi, won a royal 5 seats. So Preeti, with no offense to you, you are a dear friend. The fact is that let's not get ahead of ourselves. Point number 1. मराठवाड़ा में प्रीति चौधरी ने जो बोला था, हकीकत उसके बिल्कुल विपरीत opposite थी. Now let me talk about what Ashutosh said. He said what Election Commission is doing is extraordinary, exceptional, dangerous, and Election Commission needs to be accountable. Ashutosh Gupta, Election Commission is a constitutional body. It is not accountable to Rahul Gandhi, who's now behaving like a street hooligan, saying, "Mere paas atom bomb hai." If you have any decency, please question the leader of opposition who showcases lack of basic decency. Now the third point. Amitabh Tiwari made an interesting point that the Muslim outreach might be, 35% plus in terms of penetration, but BJP ka kuch hoga nahi. So yaad dila do. While this is a different state, Kundarki, Uttar Pradesh, 65% Muslim population, by-poll held in October 2024. BJP defeated its nearest rival from Samajwadi Party, a Muslim, by 1.45 lakh votes. Ranveer Singh Thakur of the BJP won Kundarki with a 65% Muslim population, and Mohammad Rizwan and 10 other Muslim candidates ko muh ki khani padi. So BJP has made
Ma'am, your time is up. Ma'am, but, I'm glad that you touched on, what I allegedly said during Maharashtra, because I'll tell you, I have taken you for a very, very intelligent woman. You're one of my favorite panelists on television, and I would have thought you would not have fallen for IT cell clip cutters, even if they come from your own party. I really would have hoped you wouldn't have fallen for that. I'll send you the real clip. Watch the entire clip. I want to cut across right now to from the Congress spokesperson, Professor Suraj Mandal. Professor Suraj Mandal, if you look at this, then, it cuts both ways. Number one, yes, that there is cause for concern if the minority vote back is dented, because it is between 17 to 19% where Bihar is concerned. And the immediate consequence will be faced by the Mahagathbandhan, which is the RJD and the Congress.
You have not given us figures, but we know amongst the votes which has been cut down, maximum votes belong to minorities, Dalits, backwards, and extremely backward classes. Apart from that, what we had our panelists from BJP saying in what happened in Maharashtra, everybody knows now how Maharashtra election was won. And in Uttar Pradesh, Muslims were not allowed to vote. Everything is open before the people. But okay, let's speak only about Bihar. In Bihar, now the situation is such that though every time you hear the rhetoric of this constitutional body, but what is this constitutional body doing? It is not doing adding to the faith of the people. It had the duty and obligation to see to it that all its actions are above board. What they are doing is just an organized way of rigging the poll, which was earlier done in few booths. The whole system is now being rigged. And this has come to the light. In several, our friend was asking for some proof. Those proofs are out. It's not just what Rahulji said today. And then the simple words which we have the panelists saying hooliganism to a national leader of opposition. We know what BJP people do. And every day in Bihar, the issue is not just the caste leaders. The issue is the galloping state of crime in the state of Bihar. And apart from that, 71,000 crores of loot by the BJP JDU government. So all these issues are there. Every time people need not go to their only caste leaders. They know what is hitting them, how the whole system is being, the constitutional is being held to ransom in Bihar. And that is why whatever the opposition is doing, I think it is the only way for them to...
Sir, your time is up. Your fader is going to go down. We won't be able to hear you. Before I get in Ashutosh ji and Karan in the studio with me, I want to quickly go through the next set of data, 3 questions, and then we'll be back with our panelists. Can India alliance effectively represent Muslim interests in Bihar? Was a question that was asked to the respondents. Because viewers, you'll have to read out the larger picture in all of this in the backdrop of the special intensive role revision. In that question, can India alliance effectively represent Muslim interests in Bihar? Yes, 44.3 Muslims feel that it is the India Alliance. 41.3 others, 41.8% feel in totality yes. No, 31.9% Muslims, 29.9% others, and total 30.3%. Don't know, 23.8%, 28.8%, 27.9% there. The second question that was also asked, is Tejaswi's threat to boycott polls right to oppose SIR? Nearly 45% of Muslim respondents say yes, it's right. Others, 37.4%, 38.7% feel that yes, that Tejaswi is right in suggesting there is a possibility of poll boycott. If you look at the answer no, it falls pretty much at 37.2%, but the figure differs where the Muslims and others are concerned there. Should Parliament debate SIR controversy? Something that the opposition is constantly demanding in Parliament, that a debate happen on the special intensive rule revision. 72.1% Muslim respondents feel yes. 53.7% others feel yes. Total 57.1% of respondents feel yes, Parliament should debate. Only 24% of respondents feel that Parliament should not debate. I just want to, before we go to Ashutosh ji and Karan, want to give out what the government stand is. The government says we really cannot debate the special intensive role revision in Parliament because it's not our purview. It's the purview of a constitutional body that is external to us, which is the Election Commission. Therefore, we cannot debate SIR in Parliament, is what the government says. What do you make of these figures, Ashutosh ji? 2 minutes.
Preeti, I think a different electoral algorithm needs to be invented. Because the Muslim voter voting in block, I think that has become an old one. That has become antiquity. The new algorithm should try to understand that how the upper caste is voting. And what I had gone through, I can tell you that there are two clear social blocks. One social bloc is voting for the BJP, and other social bloc is voting for the opposition. The upper caste, lock, stock and barrel today, they are voting for BJP, and in a state like UP, they are voting more than 85% to the BJP, where the Muslim lock, stock and barrel, they are voting for Samajwadi Party and the Congress. Across the country, upper caste is totally aligned with the BJP, and the Muslims are aligned with the opposition. So when we try to map how the Muslims are going to vote and which direction they are going to vote, there is an outreach program. This should also be another category where how the upper caste mood is going to define the elections. Now, the real competition between the political parties, SC, ST and the OBCs. Now, whichever the political party try to get a large section among them, certainly becomes the winner in the elections. BJP since 2014 have been successfully getting SC, ST and the OBC's vote bank. But since 2024 parliamentary election, if you see, there is a fragmentation in that support to the BJP itself. So I am only saying it, the next time if we do something like a stock exchange, political stock exchange, it will be interesting to map how the upper caste is going to behave in this election, and what will be their role in whether they will play a decisive role in the Bihar election. About the data itself, see, I have no my only submission is that the caste identity becomes less important only if there is a very strong anti-incumbency against the incumbent government, which I could see that there is a strong anti-incumbency, but will it neutralize the caste identity? That has to be seen.
All right, Karan, your 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So, first of all, I take very strong objection to the Congress spokesperson, the kind of language he used, that Muslims were not allowed to vote in the by-polls. How they won in Maharashtra, we all know. Blaming everything on EC, I think that's in very, very bad taste. There have been elections that the Congress party has won, and it's won a lot of elections. Telangana, Karnataka, Himachal, to name a few. So that is in extreme bad taste. Secondly, you discussed that why is the SIR not being discussed in the parliament? This is rule number 352 of the Lok Sabha Rules of Procedure, which says that anything that's pending or sub judice in the courts cannot be discussed That is the reason one, why it's not being discussed, because it's still up there in the Supreme Court, and also because the party in power is not a party to it. It's the Election Commission, which in itself is a constitutional body, which needs to do the answering. And they've tried to engage with the opposition has failed to do that. That is another thing. Now, as far as the caste calculus, I'm surprised that despite all the aspersions that have been cast on the BJP as being anti-Muslim, they'll strip you of your constitutional rights and all of that, only 42% are still believing that the India alliance is a suitable option for them. What does it tell you? The fact is, Preeti, they've only used them as a vote bank. They failed to deliver. Who has encroached the maximum lands of all the Kabristans in Bihar? It's Lalu's party. So many of them are convicted of that. When someone like Tejasvi, who's there in the land for job scam, and he suddenly comes out and says, Shahabuddin Amar Rahe, a man who's been convicted, a man who burnt alive another individual for a piece of land, that shows you the mindset of appeasement that has existed for so long. I mean, how far will you go down on this road of appeasement where you'll cast BJP as a pariah, not do anything for the development, loot them of their lands, and then ask for votes? So it shows that the people, even the Muslims, are not buying in on this anymore after suffering at their hands. As far as the caste calculus, I think Rahul Gandhi and the entire opposition has resorted to brazen caste politics, but alas, it's not going to work. I believe it's going to be development that's going to trump over caste politics.
All right, all the time that I have for now, I've been told I have to tease my own show over the weekend, which I really don't mind, but I'll give 10 seconds each to the BJP and the Congress. So yeah, Sanju Verma, 10 seconds, and I'll go to the Congress spokesperson for 10 seconds, but please keep it in that.
In my 10 seconds, I would just like to say, Touche, Preeti is one of my favorite journalists, but I say it as it is, and I'm happy that on her show, my voice is not muted. Unlike other shows, जब कुछ journalist को अच्छा न लगे, तो भाई panelist की voice mute कर दो. So, I will just say, Rahul Gandhi, आपके पास जो atom bomb है, गिराइए, but stop behaving like a juvenile delinquent. Start behaving like a responsible leader of opposition. नहीं तो 2020 में तो छोड़ो, 2034 में भी आप प्रधानमंत्री नहीं बनोगे.
Professor Mandal,
कर सुन लो.
20 seconds, sir. Go ahead, make your point.
Just now, one gentleman was having objections to what I said, but he didn't have any objections to the word we use for the leader of opposition as hooligan. Anyway, I reject all those things. Secondly, let us be very sure that this fact and figure that all the Kabristan land is being looted by Lalu's party is a mere fiction of imagination of this chap. It is not there, certainly not there. You come with all these fake figures just to spread a narrative.
I'm sorry, okay. I'm sorry, Professor Mandal, that's all the time we have for now. And the reason being, because I am told I need to tease my own show. I'm very happy doing that. Please watch Mahua Moitra on my podcast, Unpolitics, this weekend. Here's an excerpt. Thank you for watching. Mahua, tell me, so coming back after you won again, after being thrown out of Parliament, what was the first day like?
It's okay.
Was
it was
there a
strangely
sense
calm.
of
It was
redemption,
strangely calm. It was strangely
retribution?
calm. It was strangely calm. Preeti, there are situations in my head when it was happening. You go through what you think it'll be. So I kept running situations through my mind, but actually when it happened, it was complete calm because I knew I would win. I knew the whole thing was a lie as I know it today. I'm sure the CBI will come up with a Mickey Mouse charge sheet. It's not over yet, by the way.
I know that.
So the CBI could well come up with a complete Mickey Mouse charge sheet, and that could well happen.
Over a lipstick?
They could.
What
They
lipstick?
could, but that's the country we live in. I know. And Bobby Brown stopped making that lipstick. Think about it. I think Bobby Brown was so upset at all the infamy this particular shade had got. They were like, they probably said, stop making, so I can't even use that lipstick anymore.
What's the bag that you're carrying to Parliament nowadays?
I've only got one bag which I carry.
The one which was all over the
Which is
place.
all over, which I've had and which I carry all the time. I'm not a person who changes bags because there's so much stuff in it that I could never change a bag.
Most of us do, till the time it's fraying at the edges.
Absolutely. So I don't do that. So it's that one bag that I use most often. I've got a smaller one that I use once in a while, but otherwise it's the same bag.
Why do you think they caught on to your bag? Because if you look at it, there are a lot of bags in Parliament.
But like I said, that it's the troll army of the BJP who have literally nothing to do. So their job is wake up in the morning and decide what meaningless issue you're going to go after.
But what is it? What is it that gets under the skin where Mahua Moitra is concerned?
Well, you know what? Because I can sit here and tell them they're a bunch of useless losers. And there are very few elected women who've done something with their life who actually tell them that. No one tells them that. India is a misogynist, patriarchal, sexually frustrated society when it comes to men. You know it,
I
I
agree,
know it.
I
You
agree.
agree? I agree. Now, they've got their representation everywhere else. If out of India there are men like this everywhere, then what's to say there won't be in parliament and there won't be in government and there won't be in every political party? So, like I said, there's a very large section of India that is deeply misogynistic, that is deeply patriarchal, that is deeply sexually frustrated, and they can't stand to see women in positions of any kind of power. I mean, I'm nothing. I'm a little ant in the picture. If you see what Mamata Banerjee, my chief ministers, had to go through, if you see what Mrs. Gandhi's had to go through, I mean, just go back in history and see the kinds of attacks they've had to put through. What we've had to go through is nothing.